Hey everyone, we're back and ready to dive into another fascinating topic. You know how we've been exploring how the digital world changes how we connect.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It really is, and honestly, it's a bit of a head scratcher, right? Like on the one hand, we've got more ways to connect than ever before,
Right.
but on the other hand,
Yeah.
it feels like loneliness and isolation are on the rise. So what's the deal?
Yeah, it is a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
Like we're more connected than ever, but are we really?
Right, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today with this deep dive. Now, you shared this excerpt from Agamben Basu's book, Pasted Text, how the modern digital world is causing isolationism.
Mm.
And, wowza, Bansu does not mince words.
No, he doesn't.
He basically argues that our digital habits are like reshaping, maybe even unraveling the very fabric of family and community.
Yeah, and what I found really striking was how he connects this shift back to the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he argues that it wasn't just about factories and machines. It was about how we structure our lives.
Right.
Especially family life.
Right.
You know, like the whole thing.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he paints this really vivid picture
Yeah.
of this pre-industrial family, like this tight-knit unit.
Right.
Everybody's got their roles. You know, you imagine constant face-to-face interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the glue that holds everything together.
Exactly. And then, boom, Industrial Revolution happens.
Right.
Women enter the workforce in huge numbers.
Wow.
And Bonsu argues this had this massive, economic impact, of course, but it also fundamentally changed the family dynamic.
Mm.
So instead of everybody being home all the time, right?
Yeah.
Families become more fragmented.
Less time for those shared meals, less time for just hanging out.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Just talking and connecting.
It's kind of unsettling to think that the roots of isolation maybe go that far back, huh?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
What resonates with you most about Bonsu's observations on those family dynamics?
Well, I think it's a pattern we see throughout history. These major societal shifts, they impact how families function.
Of course.
But what's different now, as Bonsu points out, is we've got this whole digital layer on top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just adapting to, new economies and things like that, but
Yeah.
we're adapting to entirely new ways of interacting.
Boy.
And that's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it brings us to this crucial question: Are we trading in real, genuine connection
Mm-hmm.
for the convenience of curated digital interactions?
Right.
Because Bonsu really dives into how platforms like social media, video games,
Even the metaverse.
a metaverse, these immersive experiences,
Yeah.
they encourage a very individualistic way of interacting.
And I think the key takeaway here is this curated nature of these interactions. It's like connection on our own terms.
Right.
It's like we're missing the messiness, the complexity of real world relationships.
Yeah, we're choosing the airbrushed version.
The perfect, Instagram filter.
Totally. And I catch myself doing it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
Lost on my phone, just endlessly scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
feeling kind of empty afterward.
Yeah. And that makes you wonder, right? How does that stack up against actually spending time with people you care about?
Yeah.
Even if it's a little less, picture perfect.
Yeah, it's messy. It's unpredictable.
Right, exactly.
But is it more fulfilling?
Yeah, I think that's the big question that Bonsu is wrestling with.
Yeah.
And he seems to have his doubts.
He does. He raises some serious red flags. And then he brings in other factors that contribute to this sense of isolation.
Like what?
The whole rising safety concerns that we're seeing everywhere.
Yeah, he ties that into the pandemic. You know how it amplified anxieties about safety?
Absolutely.
About being out in public spaces?
Right. Suddenly the world outside felt
Risky.
risk, totally. And Bonsu argues that those fears, they're still lingering even now.
Yeah, even now.
Right.
Yeah, it's like this vicious cycle.
Uh-huh.
Fear leads to withdrawal,
Right.
which
Yeah.
erodes community trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes us even more hesitant to engage with the world outside our screens.
Wow. I mean, it's a lot to unpack.
It is.
How have your own perspective on safety and community engagement shifted since the pandemic?
Well, it's a complex issue for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's impacted everyone differently.
Right.
But it's clear that these anxieties, they've shaped our behaviors,
Yeah.
sometimes in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah, and that leads us right into Bonsu's exploration of technology's role in all of this.
Right. Technology, the double-edged sword.
Oh yeah, he doesn't hold back.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, capable of, connecting us, but also driving us apart.
It's true. And one of his biggest concerns is how these algorithms They just keep us glued to our screens. Like, I swear, sometimes my phone feels like it's got a mind of its own.
Right. But I think what's interesting is it's not just about the amount of time we're spending online.
Okay.
It's the quality of that time.
Right.
Like, are we actually engaging with it in a way that's building, meaningful connections?
Yeah.
Or are we just passively consuming?
He paints this image, of families sitting together.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's lost in their own little digital world.
Yeah.
So they're physically present,
Right.
but miles apart emotionally.
It's like a modern day Norman Rockwell painting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that resonated with you at all?
Oh, absolutely. And Bonsu argues that this lack of genuine interaction, it can lead to a real sense of isolation, even within a family.
Right. So where do we go from here? Like, are we destined for this digitally detached future?
Well, that's where Bonsu's message kind of shifts.
Okay.
It goes from cautionary to hopeful.
Okay.
He actually offers some solutions, for navigating this digital landscape in a healthier way.
It's refreshing, isn't it? He's not just like pointing out the problems.
Yeah.
He's actually trying to give us some tools.
He's trying to help us find a way forward.
Yeah. And his suggestions aren't radical, or high tech.
Right. They're pretty simple.
They're grounded in common sense.
Yeah.
Like prioritizing family time.
Putting down the device.
Putting down the devices and actually like doing things together.
Yeah. Remember family game night?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's time for a comeback.
I love that. And it's not just about scheduled activities, right?
No.
It's about creating those opportunities for spontaneous interaction.
Exactly.
Those little moments that really strengthen those bonds.
Those little moments of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about a family meal where everyone's present, no phones in sight.
Just conversation and laughter.
That's it. And Bonsu also talks about finding that balance with technology.
Right.
How can we use these tools to enrich our lives without letting them take over?
And I think that's where parents have such a crucial role to play.
Of course.
It's about setting boundaries.
Right.
Making sure kids aren't spending all their free time online.
Yeah, get them involved in, offline activities.
Yeah, exactly.
That foster creativity.
Yeah.
Social skills, physical activity.
Right. It's about raising a generation of, mindful digital citizens.
Yeah, not just passive consumers.
Exactly.
And of course, this applies to adults too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We need to model those healthy habits ourselves.
Yeah, lead by
It's not
example.
because, let's be honest, we all struggle with managing screen time.
It's so easy to get sucked in.
It is. It's so easy.
To those notifications and the endless scroll.
Yeah, but it's about recognizing those patterns and making those conscious choices to break free.
Right, exactly. And Bonsi reminds us that, rebuilding community trust is also essential.
Okay.
Especially with, those rising safety concerns we talked about earlier.
He suggests things like, neighborhood programs.
Local events.
Local events that create safe spaces for interaction.
Yeah, it's about fostering that sense of belonging. Getting to know your neighbors, feeling connected to something bigger than yourself.
Reclaiming that sense of community that's maybe been eroded.
Exactly. And lastly, Bonsu emphasizes the importance of emotional resilience.
Okay.
And this is about, being able to navigate the complexities of the digital age without just withdrawing altogether.
Right.
It's about having those open conversations within families.
Okay.
About safety concerns, the importance of real-world relationships, how to manage screen time in a healthy way.
So it's not just about changing our behaviors. It's
Right.
about equipping ourselves with the tools to thrive in this new digital landscape.
Exactly. Bonsu's message is ultimately one of hope
Okay.
and empowerment. We have the power to shape our digital experiences
I like that.
and use these tools to enrich our lives,
Yeah.
strengthen our connections,
Mm-hmm.
foster that sense of community.
Bonsu's conclusion, it kind of left me with a lingering thought.
Mm-hmm.
He urges us to find balance in this digital age.
Yeah.
But what if we went a step further? What if we use technology not just to mitigate isolation, but to actually cultivate deeper connection and community? That's a big idea, using technology to actually create deeper connection. It makes you wonder, are we already seeing examples of this?
I think we are. We've seen this rise of online communities centered around shared interests or hobbies, even life experiences.
Have you ever been part of one of those online groups that gave you that sense of belonging or support?
Oh, absolutely. And it's amazing how these digital spaces can foster that feeling, even across geographical boundaries.
Yeah.
It's like people connecting over these niche passions, finding support and understanding that they might not have found in their immediate surroundings.
It's like the internet has become this giant web of micro-communities.
It really has.
Like you've got groups for everything. From, rare book collectors to amateur astronomers to people navigating specific health challenges.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
It is. And within these groups, people are sharing knowledge, offering advice, forming real bonds.
Right. It's a good reminder that technology can facilitate those connections in ways that, just weren't possible before.
A few decades ago, it was unimaginable.
Exactly. And it's not just about connecting with like-minded individuals.
You say?
Technology is also being used to strengthen existing relationships. Think about video calls.
Oh, yeah.
They were such a lifeline for so many people during the pandemic.
Absolutely. They allowed families and friends to stay connected.
Right.
Share meals, virtually celebrate milestones together, even when they couldn't physically be in the same place.
Not the same as being there in person, but...
No, but it helped bridge the gap.
It did.
When distance or circumstances, made it difficult to be together.
So it really is about finding that balance. Right?
Yeah.
Recognizing the limitations of technology, but also embracing its potential.
Right.
And we can use these tools strategically to enhance those real-world connections, not replace them. Another area where technology is making a difference is in community organizing and activism.
Oh, that's a big one.
Social media has become such a powerful tool for mobilizing people around social causes.
Absolutely. Raising awareness, coordinating action.
We've seen so many examples of this, right?
Endless examples.
From online campaigns that spark real-world change to crowdfunding efforts that support people in need.
It's really given a voice to those who might have been marginalized,
Right.
Allowing them to connect with others, share their stories, advocate for change.
It feels like technology has democratized activism in a way.
It has.
It's made it more accessible and empowered people to participate in ways that they never could before.
And it's not just about those large-scale movements either.
Right.
We're seeing technology used to address local needs and foster a sense of community on a smaller scale.
Think about those neighborhood apps that connect residents.
Yeah.
Share information, organize events, or even just borrow a cup of sugar from their neighbor.
Right, exactly. It's those little things.
Yeah. Those little things that can make a big difference.
Yeah, make a big difference, yeah.
It's using technology to bridge those small gaps in our daily lives.
Right.
And create that sense of belonging and support within our communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while Bonsu, rightly cautions us about the isolating potential of technology, I think it's also important to acknowledge these positive developments.
Yeah.
Technology in itself isn't good or bad.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for different purposes.
Right. It all comes down to intentionality.
Okay.
Like, are we using technology mindfully with a clear purpose?
Are we using it to enhance our lives?
Yeah.
Strengthen our connections? Build a better world?
Those are the questions we need to be asking.
Absolutely. The digital age is here to stay. And it's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits humanity.
It really is.
So as you continue to explore this topic, challenge yourself to think beyond the obvious. Look for those unexpected ways that technology is being used to foster connection, build community, create a more human-centered digital world.
It's not about rejecting technology. It's about reclaiming it. Using it to build bridges, not walls.
That's a future worth striving for.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep.